Hey, AfterBuzzers, welcome to the Camping After Show. We're going to be breaking down Season 1, Episode 5, Just Plain Mad. Got a lot of drama in this episode. We learn more about the affair with Nina Joy. Walt and Carlene actually kind of have some backbones in this episode. And we get to hear from Saul. She speaks a little bit more, so stay right there.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Yep.
Cocaine. Cocaine, baby. Only one place I snort it.
Off of Miguel's penis.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, correct.
That's why I've never done cocaine. I would if I had a Miguel penis.
Right? If you just had one hanging around.
Hanging around.
Yeah. That makes
Hanging,
sense.
you know.
Hey.
Great
Literally,
start.
but I'm sure. Welcome everyone to a very PC episode of Camping After Show. Jeffrey,
Amy.
just wanted to shout your name.
I love it. We both have the E sound at the end of our names.
Yes, it's nice.
Yes.
Amy, Jeffrey. What were your thoughts on this episode tonight, man?
You know, I thought it was good, and I want to let y'all know that our producer, Juliette's actually now watching the show as well. So, Jules, please hop in at any time if you have thoughts or opinions on the show.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Very excited to be part of this conversation.
I love it. One of my favorites. Okay, so this one was a little tougher for me than the other episodes this season. I'm getting a little antsy, you know? We're getting great character work, great acting, but still planting so many seeds, and I think we're watering them, but I'm ready for some plants to start growing.
Agreed. We're dying here.
Yeah.
We need
I
some
just need
vegetation.
something. You know, there's like good suspense, but then I feel like we'll see character conflicts kind of come to a head and then sort of chill out.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for those to just continue to escalate.
Yeah, I feel like our predictions every week is like, next week something's going to go down.
Yeah.
And then next week we're like, something's going to go down.
Right.
But I loved getting to see Catherine just kind of throw it to the wind, though, and realize that she's even worse when you don't have a schedule for her. So
Yeah, we got some good Catherine moments. We also got some great Nina Joy and George moments.
Yes, which actually, let's jump right into that, because that was a juicy bit in this episode, was George actually confronting Nina Joy. And at first I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even realize that he knew about it at that point. And so what was that? Had you like picked up on that earlier?
Surprised. No, I was also surprised. It's interesting because I'm trying to figure out if George already knew, what's the real drama with letting the cat out of the bag? You know, with Catherine. I still don't understand Nina Joy and Catherine's beef, really.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we will learn, but there's only 3 more episodes, so I need to start getting answers. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this. Was hard to watch in the best way between Nina Joy and George, but really well performed and just kind of painful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, because up until now, I think I didn't realize that he knew, because they did seem like the couple that had it the most together.
It's definitely, I mean, the way the show painted them, they were like this woke interracial couple who like gets each other. And I very much on paper would have guessed that they're the most stable. So there was something interesting to see our expectations subverted by just how in crisis, as he said, they really are.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like too in this, you're like, Nina Joy, come on. Mm-hmm. You don't have much of a leg to stand on right now. You
know what's
cheated
funny
on
though?
him.
I actually feel like he was being a little unfair. This is a tough one for me, because here's my thought with cheaters: you either have to forgive or you have to leave, sort of. And I know it takes time to heal, but like, I don't know. I would never cheat, and I have never been a cheater, but I sort of think if you're gonna stick by the person who cheated with you, don't handle it the way George did.
Yeah.
Personally.
If you're gonna stick with it, you gotta find a way around it.
Yeah.
And he's obviously has a lot of like feelings about it that he hasn't really quite dealt with.
A lot of feelings.
Yet. Maybe it's
Definitely in his
because
feelings.
he wants to keep putting off the woo woo.
He wants to put out that woo.
What's up with us?
Or maybe he wants more pity sucks.
That's true. Yeah. Once he saw that, he was just like, I get to get stoned and get a blowjob in a barn right now. Let's keep this going.
Yeah. As long as he's angry, he'll get those stoned barn blows.
Well, yeah, stoned barn blows.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, guys. And I think I liked getting to see them just kind of be off in their own element, because in previous weeks, something I always like and I talk about is when you get to see kind of odd pairs, and they've done that a lot. And this episode kind of set back up some of the more usual couples.
That's a really good observation. Yeah, we sort of got to check in with our actual established couples.
Yes.
That's so true, Amy. Smart. My co-host is so smart.
I know.
Yeah.
I am. And that's all I have to say about that.
That's all we got. Next week on camping. No, I thought they were. Jules, what did you think of this conversation between the two of them?
I really agree with what you're saying, Jeff, in the sense where you can't just keep being mad. Either you forgive and then you never fully forget, but you have to move on. And he has so many feelings he hasn't, gone over with. And then again, what you were saying earlier, Jeff, I want some answers, so I have a lot of questions, and I want to know what's really going on with this beef. And I feel like it's a pressure cooker, which is cool because it's making me want to tune in every week. But I do want some answers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get us any closer really to what's going on with Nina Joy and Catherine. So it let us, like you said, it's letting us in a little bit more every week, but still not quite there yet.
Yeah. But great acting.
Yeah.
It was fun to see Brett Gelman play some rage. I wonder if we let the cat out of the bag.
Maybe we
at this point we should.
I think we just should.
That's like the worst thing as a host. Should we do this? So we've been talking about Brett Gelman. We've been talking about his amazing performance as George. We've been talking about these other shades of his character. And we get to ask him all about them in person next week because he's coming on the Camping After Show, baby! It's going to be awesome. Yes. Brett Gelman is a great get for us. I mean, he is a busy man.
Huge.
So very nice of him to come in. It's going to be a very good time.
Yeah. I mean, before the show, we were just talking about all the things that we love seeing him in. And oh my gosh, this episode too, specifically, I'd love to be talking to him about this one just because his performance in this, he always plays rage with so much, very just grounded humor to it.
Yeah, it's a very specific kind of I've seen that kind of fury.
Yeah.
But I think it's really hard to play probably.
Yeah.
So we will ask him all about it. I think we can talk about his character as a whole. We don't need to stick to just the episode next week. So stay tuned for that, y'all.
Very exciting.
Yes.
Very exciting. So let's stop gushing on him for a minute because we're gonna spend literally the entire episode next week probably doing that.
Correct.
So, and so again, like we were saying, how they did kind of couple off a little bit more. The Jandis and Miguel drama continues on.
Oh yeah. She's not happy.
No, she is not.
I feel like she's sort of doing the same thing that George is doing here. I think I'm seeing more and more that this show isn't so much about broken friendships, but broken romantic relationships.
Yeah.
I feel like I came into this expecting it to be like Girls to me was about how friends are shitty to each other, pardon my French. So I expected this to be the 30s, 40s version of that.
Yeah.
But it's, I think, more about how people are crappy to their romantic partners. I'm learning more and more. And I think in this case, obviously Miguel should have had more foresight when he offered Jandis the ring.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they seem to talk it out. And she's clearly holding on to resentment. And again, she needs to either be direct with him and say, hey, this was crappy what you did, I'm upset, or accept it. It's just this middle ground is such a hard place to navigate in a romantic situation.
Yeah. No, the great point about it always being more about the romantic relationships now. And it really is because you just see the passive aggressiveness.
That's what it is.
From everyone. There's those moments where they'll all have their outbursts and really kind of hit the nail on the head, but it's literally for a second. And then they go back to that passive aggressive place, which Jandis was doing in this episode pretty much the entire time until they kind of, talked about it again. But I also want to know, do you think that the cocaine came from the Crown Royal bag as well?
Ooh. Didn't even think about it. Perhaps.
Yeah. This is the hard-hitting stuff that we need to find out.
Yeah.
So
I was just impressed by her ability to finagle her way into a bar.
Oh, God. I feel like she could finagle her way into anything.
I agree.
I just want to see a series of her getting into places she shouldn't be in.
She's like, but wouldn't it be so much more fun if you opened now? And she did her fingers, and he was not saying no. I wouldn't say no to Juliette Lewis if I owned a bar.
I would never.
I just love how when we checked back in, she was behind the bar.
Yes.
So Jandis.
So Jandis crawling over it afterwards after she tells all the customers she doesn't actually work there. Yeah. I think she had one of my favorite lines of the episode too. Why would I lick it if it's not mine?
It's the name of my memoir.
Yes. That would be the Jandis memoir, I think,
for
actually.
sure.
Perfectly. And I like how we also find out that she has a real problem with stealing unless it's from big companies. So she's kind of like a Robin Hood for
yes,
for commercialism, I guess.
Yes, she's the hippie Robin Hood.
Yes.
Yeah, I will say, I think Juliette Lewis continues to light up the screen. She's so good on this show. And again, her character especially is just imbued with all of these crazy details and specifics that are just so amusing.
Yeah. Yeah, again, every week we say it, but I mean, it really can't be said enough that they do just nail those really small lines. And this is a show that I definitely like to watch twice.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it just kind of in general with comedies, it's nice, but especially something like this, because you're always going to miss a line, or there's always something that you don't really appreciate the first time around, or even just like talking about it like this afterwards. You're like, oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
For sure.
And you kind of forget.
Yeah, so I don't know. Jandis and Miguel, I don't know what's going to... I mean... I think Jandis might have her sights set on other prospects, so we'll see.
Yeah, because I mean, I think at this point, he's just so broken from his marriage still, as you could see as he cried through most of this episode. And Jandis just doesn't really know what she wants, you know? Like, at first she's excited about the proposal, but she probably wasn't actually excited. She was just like, oh, a fun thing.
Right.
And now she's like, I don't know, just wanted something chill, and maybe I should go back to LA. So she's Jandis.
Don't go back to LA. LA sucks.
Don't leave us.
Don't leave.
And then lastly, I kind of wanted to, with the relationships, before we get into the actual, the trip into town and everything, but relationship-wise, got to see a little bit more with Joe and Carlene, and Carlene really stand up for herself, and also kind of like the triangle of the battle of that family right now between Joe, Carlene, and Saul.
Yeah, things are happening, and I really like Ione Skye. We're finally getting to see some more work from her in this show, and she kind of has this dreamy quality. It's sort of that thing where you can tell she's been beaten down by Katherine her whole life.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's just I think I've said it already, but she's just a little tragic. Carlene's character, like the way you can see it in her eyes. There's just something kind of heartbreaking about what has happened to her, and I'm so ready to see both her and Walt just say what they really think.
Yeah. And I mean, again, it's coming. We saw pieces of it in this.
Season 2.
Season 2. It's all just going to be Walt and Carlene screaming at Katherine.
I'd watch it.
I would too. I think, and in this, whenever Katherine just kind of goes in on her, and she just has this like soft, like empty look on her face that is just like it's so sad to watch, but she's doing such a good job with it, just as an actor, just
even
really
with her famous roles. I've never heard you use the word role in your entire life, Carlene. It's good writing.
Let her have her roles.
Just let her make her roles.
Let her make some
Katherine
roles.
McSorley Jodell.
And everyone's very attached to their food. Walt with his pickles.
The pickles.
Just give me my pickles.
Not
Poor
shocked. Walt loves pickles.
Yeah, I think that's a Walt food.
It's very Walt.
I like it. But then we also have Joe and Saul as well. And I gotta say, I just really love how unapologetically Joe he is. Like, he knows he's a dick. He knows who he is, and he just rolls with it. And he does such a good job in that role as an actor, too.
It's a good point, yeah. And there's at least some... Joe was sort of pissing me off this episode just because of his inability to father was kind of frustrating me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's an argument to be made that he is the most authentic of this entire ensemble. I don't think any of these people are supposed to be folks we admire.
Yeah.
So, like, Joe is bad at pretty much everything, but I feel like he's aware of it, you know? But
exactly.
it was hard for me to watch him talk to his daughter that way.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, like you can admire certain qualities, but not when he just flat out just yells at his daughter.
Yeah.
And you can see like where she's coming from now a little bit more. I know you had mentioned early on you were interested in seeing more from the kids, to kind of see what's their viewpoint of being on this ridiculous trip with these crazy ass people. So we got to see a little bit more from her, even just from the jump in the very first scene of her, sticking her head out and saying, she's working on her novel and, like
747 pages.
Not done yet. So getting to see a little bit more from her too, which was nice.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's Cheyenne Haynes. I looked it up, and I'm really enjoying her performance.
Yeah. She's very much capturing every angsty teen in the entire world right now, I think.
For sure.
Yeah. But so then to kind of segue into this trip into town.
Before we segue into this trip into town,
Yes.
I want to segue you guys into this trip through television. Guys, our network produces after shows for nearly all of your favorite television shows, from dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more. There is no network that works harder to serve television fans. We know you love TV because you're watching the after show for camping. If you're one of the 300,000 people that's watching this show right now, you've got to be a TV fan. Sure. And we need your help. We are asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they're optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know that you did so in the comments, and we will shout you out on air. That's true. We will do that.
We will.
For now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us become the ESPN of TV talk. Guys, subscribe.
Yes.
It's good for you.
Please do. Thank you. Yeah. Well said.
Thank you.
Well said.
I do what I can.
So we've done a trip to TV town.
We've done the TV trip. Now let's talk about the trip into town.
But yeah, kind of being, the bulk of the episode of them, heading into town just for a simple grocery trip, which I think they're doing a good job of utilizing what they have available to them.
Yeah.
They're at a campsite.
Right.
So their storylines can't exactly get too crazy. So I think they made the most out of just something as simple as going to town to get stuff for dinner.
For sure.
And this was kind of where we got to see Walt. I want to touch back on the pickles now.
Yeah.
The first time we got to see him kind of have a bit of an outburst, and also start to see Carlene, starting to feel like kind of the rage against Katherine, which I think another one of my favorite lines was, "Is this what rage tastes like?"
Yeah. I'm so ready for Carlene to just unleash.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this was a good way of kind of giving them something to do while the other two couples kind of went on their own thing. But it's interesting that this scene made me think of the fact that some of the secondary couples, they're getting so much more screen time as far as like working on their stuff than Walt and Katherine.
It's so right. I think part of it is because Katherine won't even open that door.
Yeah.
Like the progress door is not one that Katherine McSorley Jodell is interested in unearthing.
It's fair.
So I feel like even if Walt wanted to open the conversation of why haven't we had sex in 3 years, or why are you impossible? She just won't. Walt, I'm dealing with this hysterectomy and with all of the pain, she won't even touch it. So I think we will get that.
Yeah.
Just not yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think with this one, the way that they ended this one, like we say, they always kind of have like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Or so to speak. And I think with this one, hopefully, maybe that seems like it's the direction it's going, with Carlene just stomping off and Walt, having his couple little outbursts and standing up to her.
Adorable little outbursts.
Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah, Jules, hop in. And turn yourself up. You're a little low.
Quick question. So I love this union between them two. I feel like they're really helping each other grow. And
Carlene and Walt.
Yes,
yeah.
They're helping each other kind of, step out of their shell and just say, wait, this is really messed up. Was I the only one kind of maybe potentially seeing sparks between them?
Oh boy, can you imagine?
That would get so messy and be so amazing.
Yeah. I didn't really see it, but that's not to say I wouldn't see it, Juliette. I think I don't even want to explore the anxiety of what it would be like to cheat on Katherine McSorley Jodell.
Oh God.
So
I got chills just now.
Just thinking about it. So I like the pitch. I don't think we'll see it, but I like it in theory.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point, because when I saw that for a quick second, I was like, huh? No.
Yeah.
No, they can't. Could they?
The one thing is, like, people talk about how when you're like going through post-traumatic stress disorder, you often bond and can even fall in love with people who have dealt with the same baggage. So because Walt and Carlene both have very personal experiences with the tornado that is Katherine McSorley Jodell, there has to be some kind of intimacy between the two of them.
Yeah.
Because they both like get it.
That's true. That's true.
They're both survivors.
Hashtag survivor.
Hashtag survived McSorley Jodell.
Oh man. Well, that's
what they should have called the show. Sorry, Surviving Katherine.
Surviving. Oh my gosh, yeah. It'd be so much better camping.
Camping. I mean,
camping.
And in fairness, camping does very logically explain what the show is.
This is true.
But
so does Surviving Katherine.
So does Surviving Katherine.
Oh well. Jeff, do you have a fun story for us this week?
I sure do.
Got a
and I
camping
think
story?
our producer, Juliette, whose voice you've heard, might even have a little accoutrement to or accompaniment was what I meant.
Close enough.
It's Monday, guys.
We'll go with it.
All right. So this comes from Annihilating Tomato on Reddit.
Nice.
I was in a cabin with four other people. I woke up at about 5 a.m. and they were all sleep talking at each other. Like straight up grunting, mumbling, shaking, and everything else a person mid-sleep would do, only the four of them were actively engaging in some kind of primitive sleep talk at once and towards each other. It scared the beep out of me. In the morning, I told them about what happened, and they didn't remember a thing. What probably happened is one started sleep talking, and it set off the rest of them. Still, WTF worthy, though.
WTF worthy, though.
The thing I love about this segment is inevitably it will just be anticlimactic every week.
It just keeps going, then it's just like, and then we woke up.
Turns out everything was fine and we went to Denny's. Probably because I'm reading camping stories off of Reddit.
Hey, I like it.
It's kind of, at this point, I love it.
I'm thoroughly enjoying every single one.
Same here. Do you have an MVP, Amy?
I do, and it's not just because he's gonna be on our show next week, but it is Brett Gelman.
For sure, yeah.
That rage, like we said, the way to play comedic rage, like he could run a clinic on it.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, I agree. I have to give it to Cheyenne Haynes, who's playing Saul this week.
Nice.
We got a lot more of her than we used to, and we got a very legendary eye roll.
Oh my God, I was about to say eye
Yes.
roll queen.
Yeah, so
Eye
a lot
roll
of
queen.
gifts, a lot of potential gifts from this young one.
Yes.
And I'm excited to see. I have a feeling she'll be working a lot more.
Agreed. Yeah.
She's interesting. And kind of one of those actresses who's like just interesting, you know? It's like, oh, even if your part was meh, you're like an interesting on-screen presence, so I'll tune in.
True.
You know?
Very good point. I'd like to see more from her character, but like I think it's also so much to do with just what she's bringing to the role too, that you just want to see more from her.
Yeah, kind of like atypical,
Yes.
I think.
I like it.
Cool.
All right, and then I think we have a little bit of news and gossip, right?
AfterBuzz TV News.
So my news is more show related. Your news is more Garns related. So let's
Yes.
start with the Garns of it all, and then I'll get into some of the show stuff.
Jay Garnes and John Miller, her new businessman boyfriend, spotted on a date night. They went out here in LA. The couple attended the musical Dear Evan Hansen
Ooh,
Friday
nice.
night. Got a nice little cute picture of them in the car, little paparazzi shot. So nice to see her still in a good fun relationship that she's
Waving through
enjoying.
some windows.
Yes.
If you've seen Dear Evan Hansen, you'll understand that reference. Good for them. Keep doing it, Jen.
Yes, keep it up.
So speaking of Jennifer Garner, this was interesting. I found this on stuff.nz.com, which is like New Zealand's version of stuff.com. So cool. But I think everyone is like, wow, Jennifer Garner's coming back to television. She finally found an opportunity that she's excited about. But she was talking about she hasn't really been being pitched TV shows at all. So her quote was, I think that I was working in another way and the momentum was just headed a different direction right now. But I said and have always said, I assume at some point I look forward to going back to TV. I love the familial feel on set. I love getting new scripts. I mean, there's nothing more fun than in the middle of a second season receiving the third. And it's just like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do it? How are we going to make this work? How will I get through it? And that's just a super fun feeling. But no, I wasn't being offered things that I was saying no to. So I think all of us just assume that, Jay Garnes is getting pitched all these shows. But
Yeah.
showrunners, sounds like she'll take your... she'll be on your show. That being said, it was unveiled that she's getting paid $230,000 an episode. So it's pretty good for a half hour.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's Jennifer Garner. I understand why.
I mean, it's Jay Garnes.
It's Jay Garnes. I have some
Garnes.
stuff about last week, too. We were talking all about Busy Phillips and Nicole Richie and Ari Neff, who played those hilarious women in the bougie kind of camping tent. And actually, Ione Skye and Jennifer Garner, who were both doing an interview for Refinery 29, were saying it was as if we were in some alternate reality, says Ione Skye. Like, we would go to the tent with the three of them, and Jen Garner personally was a little terrified to do those scenes because it's like the Mean Girls teaming up on you. Interestingly... Jenny Connor was kind of speaking. I guess she was also in this interview. There's just a bunch of sound clips, but she talks about how Jen says, I wanted to button the scene up with a smile or a nice gesture during all of this, be fairly maternal and just have something warm. But Jenny was really strict with me in a good way to remember that I was Catherine and not me. Why writer-director Jenny Connor was so confident in Catherine's restless awkwardness for camping was because she says, I think if things are grounded in real emotion, you can go super far into cringe.
I like that.
I will say,
like that a lot.
as I want to see a little more real emotion grounding in these last 3.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get it.
I think so too. And I love that too, because I remember seeing that early on that Jennifer Garner had gotten that note, and I love that that's the scene that it's from.
Yeah.
From Jenny Connor to at the end. I also love that because it is like the mean girls teaming up on her, even though she's the mean girl.
It's really,
like, so reverse mean girlism.
Yeah, it's like the
great.
plastics are meeting, the senior plastics meeting the junior plastics or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Very cool. Well, so I know we kind of got into a couple predictions throughout our show, but let's get into some real predictions for next week.
And
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Yeah, I think consistent with our discussions around Carlene and Walt, I am hotly anticipating some real rage from
Yes.
them coming up soon.
Same. I am Walt. That's all I want to see. I want to see him lose his damn mind next week.
Yeah. It's time for more David Tennant. I need more David Tennant.
Yeah. We got the little pieces of it in here, which I almost, even just for those small moments, wanted to nominate him as MVP.
So
just
funny,
because in those tiny moments.
In that
He just
hat.
won't open his mouth all the way
He's
when
afraid
he yells.
to say the F word. I love it. Because the thing is with David Tennant, it's like they have this Ferrari parked in their garage and they just haven't really let him cruise yet, you know, because it's David Tennant. So
go.
we're going to get some stuff.
Yes.
We're, on bated breath.
Yes, and we have 3 left, so I'm feeling it. I feel like it's going to be one of those like races to the finish line where
Yes.
it's going to be a pretty crazy last 3 episodes.
Totally agree. Juliette, any thoughts?
I cannot wait to, again, having these questions answered. I want to see more of just everyone just standing up to Catherine, because I've had it with her.
Yeah, I know. It's time.
And when we thought she couldn't get any worse.
She's pretty bad.
When there's no schedules, apparently, it really goes off the deep end.
That Tai
really
Chi.
does. But I want to see, we saw an intense version of her on Adderall. I want to see something more fun, maybe drunk. Like, I want to see her let her guard down. I'm hoping we'll see that.
Like
but-
sorority garns.
yeah.
Yes.
It would be really fun to see like some, because the thing is, have you seen American Beauty?
Yeah.
So one of my favorites. There's a scene in that obviously Lester and Carolyn are like don't get along that whole movie. They're basically like Catherine and Walt. But there's one scene when like you see the flash of their old relationship where where Lester starts making out with her on the couch and they talk about like, where's that girl I fell in love with who used to flash people at sorority parties? And then it quickly ends because he almost spills beer on the couch. She's like, you're gonna spill beer on the couch. But I want to see that moment where like I see why Walter and Catherine at any point in their life had any kind of chemistry.
I'm so
Yes.
with you.
Yes.
It's the main question. You're like, how did this happen? How are we here?
How was there ever a sexual moment between the two of them? They have a child, so clearly somehow they conceived a child. So
Yeah.
like I would love, even if it's a 5-minute flash of truth and honesty, and they had to at some point like each other, So
Yeah. No, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
I'm ready to see that. And I think it is again where it almost it hinders the show to be 30 minutes. At the end of each episode, I'm like, no, I needed more. And I feel like in a longer format we may have gotten that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's coming, which just they're making us wait.
They're making us wait.
Making us wait.
Yeah, and of course we also predict that Brett Gelman's going to be here next week.
Doing
Maybe next year too.
Maybe.
Yeah. You never know. If we do a good enough job.
We'll definitely be right about one of our predictions.
Yes.
So excellent news. Juliette, thanks for chiming in and hanging out with us.
Oh my gosh, thanks so much for having me. This was a blast.
Same
Awesome.
here.
Well, Jeffrey, where can we find you on social media?
You all can find me on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham. I'll plug Jules too. She's
Yeah.
at Bonjour Juliette. She's our resident French producer, so you guys can find her there. If y'all want to catch me doing stuff, we're reviewing a new YouTube Red series this Wednesday called Origin. So we'll let you know what you think. YouTube has a lot of shows
Yeah.
that vary in quality, but we're excited. I'm excited to check out this new one. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, everyone tune into that. And guys, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Amy Maestri. And if you're a fan of the Romanoffs, stick around at 6 o'clock. I'm going to be doing the Romanoffs after show here on AfterBuzz. So
Great.
stick around and see that. But we will see you guys next week with our buddy, Brett Gelman.
Bye.
Our
Bye.
founder, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.